Do you believe in coronavirus? I was asked the other day in a small town health store. My name is Larisa Jasarevic, and I'd like to say a few things about this question and how we might hear it. The shop owner was addressing me as a scholar, so a few things about my work. I study local beekeeping, which is small scale and under great pressure due to the changing climates. And I do so by reading scholarship on ecologies, popular global discourses about the world without bees, and local Bosnian Muslim common sense that actually there is no world without bees. In a word, I read ecology and Islamic eschatology as complementary stories. Anthropocene with Akhir al-Zaman, the final times in the Islamic calendar. My project is entitled Beekeeping in the End Times, and it's a book and a multimedia website. I have an ongoing interest in popular forms of knowledge. Previously, I explored healing practices in the region that actually compete effectively with clinical medicine. I've also followed the controversy over the alleged discovery of Bosnian pyramids. And all of these claims are far more complex and interesting than it may seem at first. Apocalyptic claims are only among the most controversial. So what do we get by hearing these claims more patiently? Going back to the original question, do you believe in coronavirus? It was a genuine question, and the question mark itself opens the possibility of hearing its tentative tone and tracing it to the very logic of historical uncertainty, epistemic treachery, ontological queasiness, all of which mark our present. The present in which the blend of knowledge and politics has been described as post-truth. The present in which public sphere is no longer based on consensual reality, and the present in which preferred academic theory is post-foundational. And even in the mainstream media today we can find examples. So for instance, US President has been endorsing remedies that the experts were then quickly denouncing. When it comes to bees, there is still no clear sense as to what the CCD, the colony collapse disorder, was. And there are veritable knowledge wars being waged over the question of how pesticides, the main culprits, actually work on bees. And how do we know? I should say that today I'm speaking from our family apiary in a Bosnian village. This is where we retreated at the outbreak at the start of the pandemic. And at first I felt paralyzed, unable to think. Ideally I need time, I need reading lists, precedents in order to say anything nearly intelligent. Then there are a few email exchanges that spur the idea of collaborating remotely in the emergency mode. And in this mode, several projects came up. One involves a Chicago-based multimedia artist, Melissa Potter, and a number of our fellows with whom we've been filming, planting, and meditating on the transformations that are ongoing during the crises while we are stuck at home at the level of subjectivities and ecological relations. The idea for the project is actually grounded in one popular apocalyptic story, the gist of which is, go ahead, plant the tree, even on the eve of apocalypse. Another collaborative project involves Bosnian-based artist Miliha Teperic, with whom we're discussing the possibility of multi-species art installations here and in her studio. And finally, with an independent filmmaker, Larisa Jasarevic, my sister who's behind the camera, I've been producing video essays and working on a website which is a companion to the book, The Beekeeping in the End Times. And all of these collaborations actually are really exciting at this time. And actually I turn to the arts and to multiple media because they help oil my imagination that otherwise may feel stuck. I'm sure I'm not the only one who will discover that crises can actually be productive it can engender research possibilities that were unforeseen, whether in the humanities, in social and natural sciences, or perhaps preferably in these interdisciplinary webs. Crises can clear ground, can give rise to new forms, just like disturbed environments can nurture unforeseen ecologies. Even before the pandemic, we lived in catastrophic times. This is how Isabel Stengers, philosopher of science, has described our present of global climate change, and the usual common sense as to the nature of the problem and solutions at hand she described as the devastated desert of our imagination. Now may be the time to remediate our ecological and political imagination. And from within the foothold of my project, I'm suggesting that actually apocalyptic thinking may be the most progressive political stance, because it considers seriously the frailty of cultures, of species, of planet, of the life itself. And I'd like to close off with that story, a hadith, the Prophet saying actually, whose apocalyptic wisdom says, "Go ahead, plant a tree, even on the eve of apocalypse." Let me know what sprouts.